There has been a transformation of the approach that fact checkers and the officialdom has now taken towards the chemtrail contrail debate. One person looks up at the sky and they say, that's a chemtrail. Another person looks up at the sky, they say, that's a contrail. But sadly, lamentably, most people will look up at the sky and they'll say, those are just clouds. How can we even have an educated or an informed conversation about this subject when it's not even clear to me that I'm talking about the same thing, when we don't have a basis of shared observational experience? Um, we might, in fact, be putting the horse before the cart before the horse. I always forget how to say that expression. If you know how it is, leave some comments. Um, what comes first normally? The horse before the cart. So we don't want to put the horse in front of the cart. That's it. We do that though when, especially on these forums that I'm a part of, where you don't even get a chance to talk about if there is a shared observational foundation. So I always like to start out seeing what I can agree with on other people. Because especially on these groups on Facebook that deal with the subject, they just insult you. And it's very hard to actually get real engagement. I'm used to it. Um, the problem is that a lot of these naysayers and self-appointed debunkers, they don't realize that officialdom has changed. These are things I've been monitoring over decades. Um, so the arguments by these self-appointed fact checkers and debunkers that actually do know something about it, the theme. And I would include also the official narrative from science magazines and also from government pronouncements. It's really evolved and morphed to the point where they say that now you can't really tell the difference just by looking at photos or looking at a video of an airplane, whether it is a chemtrail or a contrail. Because if it were a chemtrail, they say it would appear the same way as a contrail. You're starting to see this emission, especially now with these pro geoengineering articles where mainstream science magazines and mainstream anything magazines, they'll put pictures up of what they would claim are contrails to say what it would look like were governments or groups were they to decide to do a full-on spraying campaign to block the sun and cool the temperature of the earth. My question is, where are they getting these photos from if geoengineering hasn't been employed? So you're seeing that really the core of the argument of the officialdom is it's improbable that governments would be doing this. And so they're assuming that the airplanes we're looking at are contrails. But there's starting to be an admission that you need more information. Of course, that more information that you need isn't just examining how long they stay in the sky or examining the airplane itself, but it's examining the nature of the irregular grid patterns and the nature of what we do know in certain areas about commercial flight paths. When I was in Eureka, California, I would point out the trails to somebody who never thought about it before. They say, oh, those are just the airplanes. They're going to the McKinleyville airport. My grandfather was actually born. He was doing weather manipulation in the 1950s at that airport. That's why my dad was born in Humboldt County. My grandfather, he continued to work for the Air Force when he, after World War II, continued to work for them. He was doing weather manipulation at the McKinleyville airport. Now it's the only commercial airport in Humboldt County. So when you see dozens of airplanes making loops all around Eureka, California, you know that ain't no commercial aircraft. But most people, they don't get that far because they've never thought about it. So in the same way that now the officialdom is saying, no, you need more information because um, airplanes in the sky that really are doing chemtrails, like for crop dusting or for spraying fire retardant, it actually does look the same um, as what they're saying is condensation trail. And they say you need to consider things like the altitude of the airplane. That's what I've been saying for 20 years. Because a lot of these airplanes are flying too low to reasonably expect an ice trail. Maybe not as low as tanker craft plane spraying fire retardant, but still the altitude has to be considered. In a lot of ways, we saw something similar with the 9/11 truth movement, where at first the 9/11 truth the officialdom, the 9/11 Commission report, and the news magazines, their official line was that Building 7 didn't exist. Building 7, there was no third skyscraper. Building 7 was the figment of the imagination of anti-American conspiracy theorists. But slowly, as the 9/11 truth movement gained traction, the officialdom adjusted and refined their story and started giving, even though insipid explanations for Building 7, at least they acknowledged it. And you're seeing a similar thing with chemtrails, where they're saying that no, there are times when the government has sprayed, and conceivably there are times in the future when they could do it or even should do it, geoengineering, technological solution for a quick fix of climate change. But it's improbable and you shouldn't suggest it now. They're moving away from the science and focusing on the political issues. And so I guess they call you crazy and then they prove you right. And you'd expect the officialdom around chemtrails, contrails to evolve, to become more nuanced as this theme continues to take center stage in American life. Unfortunately, when I try to express these things in Facebook groups, Facebook groups dedicated to this theme, I just get insulted. And it's saying chemtrail, a lot of people, it's like saying alien or UFO. It just, and they have a shoot from the hip type reaction. But this isn't the only area where the debate has been shifting. The officialdom has been shifting. So a lot of the people that, even though those ones who are friends of mine that leave comments on my Facebook page, on my video channels, they're still talking like it's 2014. And as they don't realize that even the official position of the government has changed.